Love that. You actually look really cool right here. It's like a silhouette. Let's get a profile pic for the Instagram. 1, 2, 3. How's it going, guys? My name is Kevin. Welcome back to 4-Minute Film School. So glad you're here. Today we're working with two-tone lighting. We're gonna have two different colors, see what kind of moods they play. We're gonna go from this to this. Let's get after it, guys. Let's go. So the story and the concept for today takes place in a nightclub. As you can see, we're in a nightclub, an actual nightclub. We've got the disco ball, we've got the shiny beads back there, which will be shinier later. We'll show you that in a little bit. But the story is, a man walks in, he sits with his friends, and he's having a cocktail, just kind of hanging out. But then when he scans the nightclub, he has a love at first sight moment, and he will have this moment of, wow, look at this girl in front of me. And it's all about kind of envisioning what he sees. We're gonna have, again, two-tone lighting. I think we're gonna start with a cyan and a pink. We'll kind of play around with that. We're also gonna add some visual interest by hanging up some tinsel. It's already shiny back there, but we're gonna backlight this tinsel to create just some sparkle in the image. We have a disco ball, so we have to spotlight the disco ball. It's gonna make some sparkly stuff happen. It's gonna look really nice. So as you can see, we are setting up our camera here. We are rolling on the Steadicam. If you guys remember Zach from a previous episode of 4-Minute Film School, he is back with us, sliding and gliding and making it happen for us. Gonna get some nice camera movements. On top of the Steadicam, we've got the new Canon C500 Mark II. This camera is so cool. We're pairing it with some Kowa anamorphics. So I love these Kowas. They're amazing, they're compact. You can fit them on the Steadicam without having a massive rig. Easy to kind of rig up on a bigger camera. But mostly because the feeling, and that's kind of a hard thing to explain. Even when I'm thinking about it now, it kind of focuses your attention on the subject. We're gonna have a lot of specular highlights in the background. You're gonna notice some oval-shaped bokeh that's just gonna blend in, and you're just gonna be able to focus on this moment in time with our actors. The result you get from a gimbal, how does that differ from what we have today at Steadicam?
So the biggest difference is what we call the Y-axis motion. That comes from the stabilization of the Steadicam arm here. And basically with say a one-handed gimbal like the Ronin S or the R2, you're essentially using your arms as that Y-axis stabilization. And when you do that, the human is imperfect. You see movement of footsteps and your body shake and vibration and such. But with Steadicam, that Y-axis motion is stabilized with this Steadicam arm. Thus, you have more dynamic motion and a quicker sense of how to move it.
The movement, it lends itself to the story. It all speaks to the story. An expensive rig, I don't even want to ask you what it costs. I'm sure it's beyond my budget. So it looks like you got something set. This looks high tech. You have kind of a command center almost. I see antennas, I see an iPad. What's going on here?
We're hooking it up to Luminaire, just the wireless DMX system to make it so, like, because we're gonna be putting this one up in the grid. If you're really high up, you don't have to bring a scissor lift or anything out.
Now, you can do dimming, and what kind of control do you have with that lighting?
Pretty much any changes that you can make from the head, you can make from here. So with the Novas, where it's RGB and has CCT, then you can, if the DP wants it a little warmer, or you're saying if you want a little bit of color, it can be a change that you can make in a matter of seconds. It's nice to be able to just have control here, so it's like just a matter of a switch.
So let's talk about our first light that we have set up. It's our key light, and as you can see, we've got our key light back there. It's the Nova, and that's already a soft light, but we're softening it even more with this giant 6x6 grid cloth.
But we just wanted to soften it a little bit more. For eye lights, it makes it pop a little bit more in the eye. You get more of the reflections in any of the parts of the skin, and it's a full grid, so the grids will come in different varieties, so you have like quarter, half, full, and it's just, out of any of them, the softest, of course.
You don't absolutely need a grid cloth. If you don't have that available, you can easily use a bed sheet, you could use a bath curtain. Any kind of material that diffuses light will work, and it'll give you a similar effect to what we're shooting today. So the next light we are setting up is the backlight, and that's also a Nova. We're not gonna diffuse that by any 6x's or anything. We're gonna leave it as a panel. It still has a soft quality, but not as soft as diffusing it through the 6x we talked about earlier. We've got that rigged up to the truss. Of course, we got it safety chained. Safety is the name of the game. You don't want that falling on anyone's head. So we're also setting up a couple nets next to that Nova. We have a single one, which is the green one, and we have a double one, which is a red. And basically that gives us 1.5 stops of cutting. We're cutting the light from spilling onto the background. It's going to give an edge to not only our main character, but some of our extras as well, so they don't just fall into the muddy, darky shadows. It's gonna pop them out from the background slightly. I don't want them too much to where they're distracting. We do want to keep the focus of that light on our main actor. So let's talk about another light we're using today. This light is a Source 4 Lico, and you might recognize this. This is kind of like the workhorse of stage lighting, theater lighting, and I love these lights because they're so versatile. You can cut them up with these cutters in here, you can add gobos. There's an aperture control in there which makes the circle diameter larger or smaller. Another reason you'll find this on film sets a lot is because they're so readily available. Almost every rental house in every major city has these, and they're really inexpensive. It also is naturally a point source, which is a hard light source. So what that's gonna do is once it hits that disco ball, it'll give us those reflections that spin around the room and give us that disco fever. Play disco, cue disco song right here. What's a disco song? I don't know. So we're adding a couple extra lights to kind of do some extra stuff.
We got a few of the 60Xs up on the ceiling right now. We just have some tables in the background that we want to just have some pop so that, you know, it's like a very focused light that is nice for something like this. You're in a nightclub, you don't want the background to just be this flat, boring thing. You want to have where you can kind of just sniper it to a degree.
Yeah, and not have to worry about it spilling, and like you have like a controlled, yeah, that's awesome. What we're doing is quickly setting up a CRLS panel. This panel is level 4. They have a few different levels, but this diffuses the light a little bit more than some of the lower levels. And what we're doing this for is two main reasons. We're gonna lift up the shadows slightly in our Talon's face, but we're also gonna give her an eye light. We wanna make this as beautiful as possible. Even the little subtle things, anything we can do to make the beautiful image, we're gonna try it. So a huge part of making a beautiful image is just the collaboration you have with all the departments. It's more than just the camera, the lenses, the lighting. A lot of it has to do with the art direction and the production design. So our homie Day over there, who is hooking it up with all the things that take this from 95 to 100. That includes a tinsel that shines and sparkles in the background. That includes the disco ball, which is giving us these nice little specular highlights. You know what a disco ball does, it gets a disco. We've got cocktails on top of the tables, we've got candles, all these little things that really go into selling this image. Again, it's not just about the lights and cameras, it's about what's in the image. Consider everything in the image, and it really makes a difference. It takes this to 95 to 100. Right now I'm noticing that our key light is it's not as saturated as I'd like to really sell. It kind of looks like there's just this big white light hitting her. I'm gonna use Sidus Link to higher the saturation level so that we see more of the blue. So because we have two tones, we have to play fair with both of them. You don't want too much pink taking over the entire image, but then you don't want too much cyan taking over the entire image. So it's a balancing game. You want it to be kind of even throughout the frame. And so I think that's where we're at right now, and I think it's looking pretty good. So we've got all of our lights set up and I'm really liking it. But what we wanted to try was a different color scheme and just try to see if it changes the mood a little bit and it makes you kind of feel something different. When I look at our scheme that we have right now, we have these cool colors mixed with this red kind of pinkish color. And I'm really liking this. What it makes me feel, it's a little bit more edgy, a little bit more stylistic. But when we go over to the next scene, this almost seems like a classier, stylistic, more approachable type of vibe. I like the two. This one's a little bit more natural. This one's a little bit more stylistic. I kind of want you to be the focal of it. So we want to show that you're chatting with somebody, but we just want their kind of shoulder in there. So we'll have somebody here. I'm not sure who that is yet. You're just gonna be chatting with them. Places.
Pictures up, quiet on set, let's roll.
Yeah, that's perfect, Lex. So we just finished up that first scene. I thought it looked great. The second part of this story is this gentleman comes and he's sitting down with his boys, having a drink, and he locks eyes with Lexi, who he has this moment of love at first sight. The trick with this is, these are two different areas of this location we're in. So it's very important for us to maintain continuity from lighting and just the general ambience of the first scene. Make sure we have that in the second scene as well. The camera is going to probably be right here so we can get that depth, but yeah, this is essentially going to be flipped in a way. These practicals are going to be the equivalent of the candles and the warmth back that were in the back.
Okay.
So,
Okay, yeah, I can make them like a 28, 27-ish kind of
yeah.
thing.
So we decided to add another CRLS panel. This is the level 4, same one we used in the first scene. Again, it gives a little bit more diffusion than the lower levels, but let's hand it over to my CLT to figure out what we're doing and why we have it here.
So we have this one right now just to kind of act like a little eye light, just because, you know, our talent's looking in this direction, so we just wanted to have, as he, you know, scans the crowd and sees the lady, we just wanted to have something pop in his eye to kind of be like, oh, he has that connection with her. Yeah. You know, it's just a little twinkle in his eye. Or using one of the 60s with the spotlight attachment onto it. You know, these are really nice for things like that, like a combination with either one of these or like a Lico or Joe Lico type thing. People might use like ultra bounces or something like that, or just little like, you know, pizza boxes.
Motivated lighting. We use that term all the time. You hear about it all the time, especially in the film world. How are we using motivated lighting in this scene?
Motivated lighting is when you have a practical that you want to enhance with an actual light. Just because sometimes practicals, they don't always give you the exposure, they might not be the right angle or position you want to light them the way you would like. We have a practical here that will be seen in the shot. We're taking another light, the Nova we have there, and doing what we intend. You know, maintaining the color temperature, maintaining general direction.
We have obviously our practicals, but we also have this pink light, even in the first scene. And we're gonna have this blue light coming in, and those don't necessarily make sense, but to your point, like, they look good. And once you kind of know the rules, what I like to do, I like to break the rules all the time. And you know, there's a good time to break the rules and there's a not good time to break the rules.
So, you know, people talk about all the time with like, you know, 180-degree rule. And it's like, if you break 180, that's definitely something that's perfectly fine because it gives that offsetting, that disturbing feeling.
Yes.
And if that's what you need from that scene, it makes sense to break that rule.
That's good, that's good. I like that. Okay, cool, let's jump right back in. So the second look, the second color scheme, that orange and green color, we're gonna bring from scene 1 into this scene as well. But one of the differences between scene 1 and scene 2 was Cecil has a little bit more of a darker skin complexion compared to Lexi in the first scene. So what we're seeing is the skin tones with the key light, they're a little bit too saturated, a little bit on the red side, not really the color we're looking for. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust the hue of the key light to really compensate for his darker skin. We're gonna cool it off a little bit, just a touch, to kind of maintain a continuity from the scene 1. Of course, you could do all this in post if you wanted to, but why not get it right on set and make it easier for your editors? Hey guys, hey. That's a wrap. Let's go! Break it down there, Moses, break it down for him. Oh, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him. Dang, that was so much fun, you guys. I love those scenes. I love playing with colors. Thank you so much for joining us. I honestly hope you guys got something out of it. Today we looked at color tones, different hues in each scene. We looked at what one color made you feel versus a different color. I thought that was so cool. I want to know though, what are your favorite color hues to play with and why do you like to play with those colors? Let me know down in the comments below for your chance to win a B7C. Get down there in the comments and type away. And don't forget to follow me on the socials, me and the Aputure team, where all of our information is down there in the description. I can't wait to see you guys next time. See ya. This is actually my go-to dance. I just go, pop it, pop, 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 and pop it like it's hot, pop. Then you pop, lock, and drop, and bring it back now.